This is my 2002 Miata that I bought last year with 221,000 miles on it. And although it was intended to just be a running weekend car, it quickly became a project car once I discovered a lot of maintenance and repairs that need to be done. And even though I had no experience, I was excited to use this opportunity to learn how to actually work on a car for the first time. So now to date, I've learned how to rebuild my suspension, change my fluids, spark plugs, and spark plug wires, rebuild the shifter, fix some cosmetics, fix some of the weird sounds I was making, diagnose electrical issues that killed my car and involved replacing an alternator, and also open an engine for the first time. But along the way, I got hooked on working my car and took it another step further and started modifying it as well. So since then, I've learned how to install new coilovers, lowered the car, installed better performing wheels and tires, a new exhaust, upgraded the lighting, and also upgraded the clutch hydraulic system. But even with all of that work, there were still a few upgrades and repairs that I missed. So today, I'm going to repair as many mechanical and cosmetic issues as I can and get this car in its best shape that it's been in probably a long time. Oh, ha ha! The first thing I want to do today is replace my old rusty and slightly dented rotors with fresh new coated rotors. If you've been with me since the very first episode, you'll remember that I actually replaced the calipers, lines, and pads with the previous owner on this car around the time I was buying it. But I cheaped out on the rotors and didn't replace them because I really didn't know if they need to be replaced or not. However, in that past year, I've kind of noticed that the braking is sometimes a little wavy or unstable under hard braking. Combine that with the fact that these rotors are a little bit worn down and do have a bit of a lip at the end, and that I'm also going to be taking this car to autocross in 2 months, it's probably just worth the $100, $150 to just replace them and have fresh rotors along with a full fresh brake setup. And if even that wasn't enough of a reason, the new ones are coated and will just look much cleaner, because that area that doesn't get touched by the brake pads won't immediately rust and just look this nasty. So there's a lot of functional reasons why I'm going to be changing out these rotors, but I'm equally as excited to just have a fresh rotor to pair with the clean new wheels and brake components. Ow. Even though it hadn't been that long since I've actually worked on these bolts when I did all that brake work, I forgot how painful it is to try and get a breaker bar and some of the tools in that small wheel well. So it took a while to get the 2 caliper bolts off, but once I got that off, I was able to pull off the caliper and zip tie that to the suspension.
And yeah, here you can see the aesthetic reason why I wanted fresh rotors. They're so much cleaner, and this is coated so it won't keep rusting like this.
So with the new rotor on, I realized that the caliper wasn't going to fit back on just like that without adjusting the space between the brake pads.
I really thought these rotors would be the exact same kind of thickness. I guess the old one is actually a bit more worn out than I thought. So now I'm going to have to get to that adjuster screw in the piston, which is kind of annoying.
And when I tried to unbolt the cover for that adjustment screw, I realized I didn't have enough torque. So I had to bolt the caliper back onto the bracket so that I would have more leverage essentially to be able to undo that bolt.
Oh. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, it's a little hard to see. There's a parking brake cable, which is this big long thing. It's not the bolt closest to the end of the cable, it's the inner bolt. If I remember right, that will cover the adjuster screw, which is a 4mm hex. I can do... Oh yeah, that definitely moved like an insane amount. Yeah! Oh, that would have been so annoying.
So I loosened that adjustment screw, which widened the space of the caliper, and it was able to fit back over the new rotor, so I can keep moving along.
Look at that. So much better.
So after a little bit of pain, I was able to get both the caliper bolts off that rear left caliper, zip tie it to the suspension to get it out of the way, and put the new rotor on.
Nice. Okay. Just need to torque it down and then do the front. And then I also want to make sure I don't need to retighten the adjustment. So I was wondering if I need to retighten the adjustment screw, and I definitely have to, because here's the handbrake. It goes way higher than before, like uncomfortably high. So I'm going to tighten both sides a bit. Where are we at? Oh, too tight. This is like, that's it. Okay, that's way too tight. It's still a little too much. Yeah, I need to do it a bit more. So I'm kind of just listening, kind of just feeling out the tension when I'm rotating this to try and get them to feel the same. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, it's a little high. Yeah, okay, I'll keep that for now, right? Yeah.
So with both the rear rotors on and that adjustment screw adjusted on both sides to be pretty even and pretty comfortable, all I had left to do was torque down everything from the rear and then move on to the front. But it kind of was a bit of a struggle to fit the whole torque wrench in there to get all that torque down.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, such an awkward angle. It definitely should have been easier than I thought. Whew. On to the front.
And if you were curious how my rotors got dented, it's because the previous owner and I hammered it with a metal hammer to try and unstick it from the hub when we had worked on it. So, yeah.
So this one actually, the front ones actually do have a pretty noticeable lip. I don't feel like I'm upgrading the rotors for nothing. There's a pretty noticeable lip on both sides of it. Huh. Okay. Okay, so that's it. And I know what you're thinking. Wow, your suspension's pretty dirty because it's an old car. But those look like new tie rods. Yes, I replaced them last year. Easy.
With the front right rotor in and everything torqued down, I moved on to the last rotor.
Oh. Oh. And once again, look at this. Old, new. Old, new. It's pretty drastic. I think I'm done.
And wow, those new rotors really did freshen up the look of the car and kind of hide its age.
There we go. That looks so much cleaner. Oh, this was so ugly before. Hell yeah.
And with that, the rotors were finally done, so it's time to move on to some of the interior upgrades I want to do.
So you know how every time you work on your car, something always goes wrong? Well, in my very first video that I worked on my car, I discovered that the shift boot replacement that I'd got off eBay didn't fit because the metal collar at the top restricted how far down it could go, and that meant that the shift knob couldn't even screw on. So today, 9 or 10 months after that video and that attempt, I finally have a replacement shift boot. And this isn't a used shift boot off of like eBay or Facebook. This is just a brand new upholstered one from Miata. So this should be really nice to help freshen up the interior. I hope I didn't break it, because I always tend to break clips. And the new one basically just fits over these kind of like, not clips, but just kind of fits over here. I'm basically just able to yank this one off. Haha! This is nice.
And here you can really see the difference that this is going to make and why this upgrade is pretty overdue.
I think it's a nicer quality leather too, because you can actually see kind of like the grain of the leather on the underside. This just looks like fabric almost. The hole is, this is where that pin is, it doesn't pull all the way this much. Same thing, this is the holes here, but the pin is over here, and it doesn't have enough room to stretch. It's like it's almost like a whole 1/4 of an inch off, so I'm just probably gonna poke my own. Okay, too big of a hole. Too big of a hole. Brand new shift boot. It looks so much better than compared to the old one.
With that new shift boot fully installed in the center console, just had to put that center console back in the car.
And then finally, alright. Look at that. That's so much cleaner. So I actually want to get a new shift knob as well and a new brake handle. There's an NB that I test drove before I bought this that had beautiful matching wooden handles for both. I'm not sure what it was, but the closest one I can find is the IL Motorsports one on Miata, but those are $100 for each knob. I'm not fully ready to pay that much, but if anyone knows of any, I'm basically just looking for a pretty simple and elegant matching wooden shift knob and brake handle, both with like a metal accent, like a silver metal accent. So in the meantime, I'm putting the old knob back on, but a new knob would really help also make this a little nicer. There we go. Oh, it's beautiful.
Wow, that new shift boot made such a big difference in cleaning up that interior because that old one was just so torn up and just disgusting. So I'm really glad I did that.
So I have one more thing I've been wanting to do, and that's condition these seats. If you look at this seat, this is actually in really good condition. Like, it's nice and plush, there's not a single tear. It's beautiful. However, if we direct our eyes to the passenger seat, we see that it's really ripped up, And it's actually really hard. It's not plushy at all. It's just kind of like, I don't know how to demonstrate it. It literally just feels almost like cardboardy. And the reason that these are different, you can actually see they're different shades, is because this is one of the original seats in this car, but this is swapped in from a 2001 SE that the previous owner also owned. Because he told me the previous seat was completely shredded, and I saw the one in that SE and that was gone. So I am currently looking out for a seat upgrade because these just don't have enough bolstering to hold me in on the sides when I take turns. But in the meantime, I want to at least try and take good care of these, especially because this one's got pretty firm. So I got some leather conditioners. I'm going to go ahead and condition both of these. I'm not sure how much of a difference it really makes, or if it's meant more for like long-term health. But it's pretty nice. Yes, can I help you? Nothing's plugged in though.
And while I was in there, I couldn't help but at least detail the interior a bit more because it had been a while since I'd last cleaned it out. And oh man, it was really satisfying seeing this car so clean. And so with the new rotors in, the new shift boot in, the leather seats conditioned, and the interior fully detailed, it was time to move on to the last task for the day. And that's to fix a gap that I have on one side of the soft top that's been creating a lot of wind noise.
So here's the driver's side. Can't really even stick a finger in there. But then on the passenger side, there's been this huge gap. Like, I can pretty easily stick a finger in there. Driver side, passenger side.
Okay, editing this now I realize it's kind of hard to see because of the shadows, but the passenger side is maybe about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch higher, which I'm sure is creating most of the wind noise that's been driving me crazy. And so what I'm doing here is adjusting that latch to pull tighter to hopefully close up that gap.
I thought I'd already adjusted it before, so I was a little worried of how to fix this, but I guess I was mixing it up with the time I only adjusted the hardtop latches. Driver side, passenger side.
So with that misaligned height fixed, I wanted to also fix this other issue I have where the latch and the striker appear to be misaligned, which makes it kind of hard to put on the latch sometimes.
Yeah, there's not really a way to fix if the latch is lined up or not. So I wonder if the top is just installed a little askew. But yeah, I couldn't fix much. I unscrewed it. It doesn't like go side to side. It just comes off or on. So, I don't know.
I was hoping I just had to loosen the striker panel screws and rotate the striker itself, but there was no room to rotate. So if anyone knows anything about that, please let me know in the comments. After all this work, I almost forgot. I need to bed in the new rotors. So I'm going to do that now and before I finally wrap up all this work. But before I do that, I want to appreciate how clean these wheels look with the fresh rotors behind them.
Wow, these look so much cleaner, and I'm sure they're going to feel better too.
So to bed in these rotors, what I'm basically doing is taking a few hard stops from like 30 or 40 miles an hour to about 5 to heat up the rotors, and then finally about 2 or 3 really hard stops from about 60 to 5 to actually fully bed them in now that they're hot. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty uneventful except for this one moment.
Oh, ha ha!
But yeah, it was really fulfilling to fix all these little issues that have been nagging me and also make the car just look much fresher and newer than it really is. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one.